Intense thunderstorms for Australia's southeast next week and 2 potential tropical cyclones across Australia's north. Your latest forecast update from Force 1380. So it's getting busier as you'd expect for this time of the year. January 4th, 2024, we are looking out for a thunderstorm situation developing across Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia, and then a rainfall situation developing across northern New South Wales and also South Australia and Queensland. And we're now looking out for 2 potential tropical cyclones in the Timor Sea and the Gulf of Carpentaria. All of that and more in the next 15 minutes, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video. Subscribe if you haven't already and leave a like on the video while you're at it. And if you've got a weather report for your location, please do consider leaving it in the comment section down below. But let's jump in and take a look at the weather situation across Australia for the next 24 hours. We've got hot conditions across parts of the Kimberley region of Western Australia. That's now starting to ease off. We're seeing more normal daytime maximas of around 40 and 42 degrees Celsius. They're still pretty hot for most people in Australia. Storms across Australia's centre and south. Some of those will be severe around Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. And then we're looking out for rain across parts of Coffs Harbour, outside of Grafton, and extending up towards Brisbane for the next couple of days or so. We'll likely see quite a substantial amount of rainfall fall there, up to 200 millimetres in the next 3 days, and also some rain for the southern parts of New Zealand around Dunedin and extending up towards Wellington as well. We'll probably be seeing showers there, and another 50 millimetres could fall in that part of the world. So this is a look at the cyclone forecast map. I've neglected to include the cyclones that we're going to take a look at after because they're brand new to the map. They've first appeared in the model runs, but we're seeing a bit of consistency on a possible tropical cyclone expected to spin up around the Cocos Islands, but I'm going to really get into depth around the 6 or 7 minute mark of the video, so if you're interested in that, skip to the video there now. But taking a look at the Access G3 rainfall run nationwide, where we'll also see those cyclones later on in this forecast run. Keep track of the time in the bottom part of the screen, but you can see thunderstorm activity expected to develop Sunday morning, and that will extend into Victoria Sunday night and into Monday morning. These thunderstorms will be very strong Sunday night and into Monday morning before easing off around Monday the 8th, and then we'll just see that significant amount of rainfall from the monsoon trough extending over the Northern Territory, Queensland, and that'll extend down towards Coffs Harbour area. And you can see those concentrated areas of moisture towards sort of Friday the 12th and 13th, and I'll slow the forecast run down now. Beyond sort of the 8-day mark, we're going to be seeing these 2 cyclones sort of spin up, one in the Gulf of Carpentaria and one in the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf around Columbaroo and what's a place called Wyndham, that sort of area in northern Western Australia. But they are uncertain and we're not 100% sure on whether or not they'll form. Now the temperature forecast, I'm not going to put too much time into this because it's very stock standard temperatures for the next couple of days at least. It's hot conditions across parts of southwestern Queensland and the northern corner of South Australia. Then we'll start to see some hot weather extend over Western Australia, but apart from that, nationwide it's looking fairly average. Cool conditions for the nation south, and then mild to warm conditions across the east coast extending from Melbourne up towards Sydney and Brisbane. And those thunderstorms will keep the extreme heat that you can see in summer at bay. And I'd also like to note, you probably can't see it in this model run because of my terrible cropping, but there's also going to be some hot weather for the eastern parts of New Zealand and South Island, where temperatures could brush 30 degrees Celsius in around 8 days time, so keep that in mind. So we're going to zoom right in on Victoria and New South Wales right now and see what this rainfall and thunderstorm situation is going to do. Now thankfully the rain is going to keep at bay for the pink test over in Sydney, where Australia have resumed none for 25 for the day. You can see a nice amount of rainfall falling around Victoria and New South Wales. There's going to be a lot of concentrated rainfall from these thunderstorms, and I'll get into the detailed forecast and really break these storms down later on in the video. But you can see very heavy amounts of rainfall falling outside of Melbourne, and they'll move up towards Albury and then over towards Canberra in the Australian Capital Territory before these thunderstorms weaken off and kind of maybe brush Sydney maybe later on in the week around Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll also be seeing some thunderstorms across southeast Queensland as well, and also for a lot of central Queensland, but they don't look like the really severe thunderstorms we're going to see across South Australia, Victoria and the southern parts of New South Wales. Now I'll just take a brief look at the satellite imagery for Australia wide for the past 12 hours. You can see a lot of thunderstorm activity across the centre and also the north, but nothing out of the ordinary. I imagine tonight's picture is going to be a lot more pretty, but let's jump over and take a look at the forecast models for the next 10 days and see what's in store for your location nationwide. Alright, so just starting it off with a current look at the nationwide picture from the ECMWF forecast. You can see there's the isolated thunderstorm across Australia's kind of south and that sort of area. Just outside of Canberra, actually, right now, there's a thunderstorm sort of band moving through there, but nothing crazy right now, at least. It kind of starts from this afternoon when we're going to see this low pressure system move through South Australia, and it's going to really drive and promote thunderstorm formation in a line probably between Minterby right down towards sort of Adelaide, including places like Coober Pedy, Roxby Downs and Oodnadatta. Now, these thunderstorms will likely be severe in places, bringing the risk of large hailstones, damaging winds and heavy rainfall, and you can see they really do spin themselves up quite nicely this afternoon and evening. Especially in the eastern parts of South Australia, these thunderstorms do look substantially strong in places, especially the further south you get. And these storms will also extend into the western parts of New South Wales and Queensland, which will probably curb that extreme heat that we're expecting today, especially for the southern parts. But it looks like places between Moomba out and up towards Mount Isa will get very strong very strong and significant heat, actually, rather up to 48 degrees Celsius there today. Now, across the coastal parts of New South Wales and the Great Dividing Range, there's going to be some thunderstorms there. These are pulse thunderstorms, so not a significant threat to lives and homes, but they could definitely pose the risk of dropping heavy rainfall and maybe even large hailstones in places. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for the warnings that will come through from the Bureau of Meteorology, but they do seem to keep out of the very populated metropolitan areas of Sydney, Wollongong and Newcastle, so that's some good news there. Now, the rain pattern as well also starts to develop, I believe it's Friday and into Saturday, from this onshore flow that we're going to be seeing from a low pressure system around Lord Howe Island, and that will bring a lot of rainfall inland to southeastern Queensland and the northeastern parts of New South Wales, where up to 100 millimetres could fall. Now, what I'm seeing on Saturday is just this kind of very slow moving moisture band moving ashore around Byron Bay, up towards the Gold Coast, that sort of area. And this slow moving rain band, we've seen it before, we see it time and time again. A lot of rainfall can fall in a very short amount of time in a very isolated spot. One or two spots could pick up to 250 millimetres of rain from this on Saturday and maybe even into Sunday as well. But it seems like it eases off there, and then the focus once again shifts down to Melbourne, Victoria and New South Wales, where we're going to be seeing this strong thunderstorm band move through from about Sunday morning, actually, or into Saturday night. These thunderstorms fire across South Australia and around Adelaide. They get really quite strong, actually, from this squall line here, with the risk of hailstones, damaging and locally destructive winds, and also heavy rainfall. So if you live anywhere basically within the firing line from these storms, which excludes the extreme northeastern corner of South Australia, make sure you're watching the forecast and the rain radars very closely on Saturday. Because you could be in for a pretty strong thunderstorm event to blow through. And these thunderstorms, they look very long-lived. They'll organise themselves into a squall line by the looks of things. They'll be very strong by the time they enter New South Wales in the squall line in the early hours of Sunday. Sunday morning, they obviously ease off a little bit because they lose that energy that you get with the sunlight and all the evaporation that the sunlight causes. However, Sunday afternoon, we're going to be seeing a lot of convective activity. A lot of thunderstorms are going to fire up across the western parts of New South Wales. And these thunderstorms will move into the centre of New South Wales and then over towards Canberra and then the east coast, but thankfully they don't seem to make it past the Great Dividing Range. So places on the coastal regions, including Sydney, look like they're going to miss out on the absolute worst from these thunderstorms, but still the western suburbs could get slammed because these thunderstorms look very strong indeed. Now, I've been neglecting the forecast for Melbourne, actually. Just take a look at this. Melbourne and Tasmania, as these thunderstorms move through, the reds and the blacks indicating very strong thunderstorm activity, and there's a lot of places that pick up a substantial amount of rainfall and lightning activity, and also comes with the risk of damaging winds and heavy large hailstones, rather. I'm really tripping on my words today by the sounds of things. So yeah, quite a significant thunderstorm event expected to move through. We can't exactly pinpoint exactly where is going to get the worst impacts or exactly where the severe thunderstorms will move through, because it is still a couple of days away, but we will know on the day. So stay tuned to the channel by subscribing, and we'll be giving you the latest forecast on Sunday regarding this thunderstorm event. But yeah, that basically does it for the thunderstorms, at least in the next couple of days. It's a really similar pattern into Monday. You just get these thunderstorms fire up in the evening. They become quite strong. There is a risk of supercell activity on Monday and also into Tuesday as well around Canberra. and the southeastern corner of New South Wales, and also on the northeastern corner of New South Wales as well, we could be seeing some strong thunderstorms, and it's just the typical wet season stuff across the Northern Territory and Queensland. So yeah, heavy rainfall is definitely a threat from these storms, but we're not looking out for strong, severe thunderstorms in the nation's north. They're going to keep themselves to New South Wales and Victoria around Sunday and Monday, and maybe even into Tuesday morning as well. But it looks like after that they ease off quite a little bit before this low pressure system sets itself up offshore from Brisbane. We could be seeing this onshore flow around there, but that's looking very long range, around 10 days out from now. So I won't be making any comments or forecast on that situation right now. But let's jump over to the Access G3 model and talk about these potential cyclones, because there is definitely the chance of them forming, and I am excited for some cyclone activity because it gives us something to track and monitor, and it doesn't look like these cyclones are going to be too strong, so they'll be very interesting to watch. But you can see a tropical low Wednesday morning, the 10th of January, up across Thursday Island and the far northern regions of Queensland, and also a tropical low starting to spit itself up around Canberra in the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf. And as we play through on Monday, we're going to see these low pressure systems really wrap themselves up nicely. So if we go over to the pressure forecast right now and see if we can get pressure isobars on this, I think we need to play it through. These are very weak tropical lows by the looks of things on Thursday and into Friday, but they do look like they start to spin themselves up. That's an organized tropical low here with a pressure of 1,005 millibars on Thursday the 11th, Thursday evening, and also a tropical low really starting to spin itself up now north of Kununurra, and they develop simultaneously as well from the monsoon trough. So that's interesting. It's very rare that you get two cyclones this close together in the Australian basin. The one in the Gulf of Carpentaria doesn't get strong at all, but the one in Western Australia and the Northern Territory looks like it will become a brief, weak Category 1 cyclone. It doesn't look like it's going to impact Darwin too much, and if it does make landfall at cyclone intensity, it looks like it's going to make landfall in the Kimberley region of Western Australia. But yeah, 997 millibars, that's a reasonably strong Category 1 cyclone, maybe with winds of around 45 knots sustained. But again, this part of the world is built for it, so it's likely not going to cause any damage. That's worth mentioning. But yeah, this is what's on the forecast. It's a possible scenario, but I'm not going to make any guarantees or exact forecasts for this cyclone right now, because it is still rather unlikely. Now, this will of course drive rainfall up. We're looking at rainfall accumulation now for the top parts of Australia before we take a look at rainfall accumulation around Melbourne and those areas expected to be hit by thunderstorms. But you can see quite a lot of rainfall expected where these cyclones form, up to 500 millimeters of rain, where they make landfall on the or what looks to be on the Northern Territory, 250 millimeters. It looks like Darwin itself might pick up 250 millimeters of rain over the next 10 days as well. Nothing too crazy around the Gulf of Carpentaria, and once again, nothing too crazy around the Kimberley region either. There will be one or two spots that pick up to 300 millimeters from this rainfall event if it does materialize, but once again, I won't be making any comments or exact forecasts because there is still a lot of uncertainty. But one thing's for sure, a lot of rainfall is expected in Victoria. There will be places that looks like just outside of Bendigo that pick up to 250 millimeters of rain from this thunderstorm event. And if you get under the right thunderstorm, once again, you could be seeing 100 millimeters in a 24-hour period, or you could be seeing up to 50 millimeters in a 1-hour period. So make sure you're prepared for a possible flash flooding situation from these tropical cyclones as they not tropical cyclones, these thunderstorms as they move through, because they will be strong, they will be severe, and they do pack the possibility to drop very heavy rainfall, large hailstones, damaging winds, and if you get the right supercell thunderstorm, they could definitely spin up 1 or 2 tornadoes in an isolated flat part of the state. So watch out for that, because there is that chance, that's for sure. But apart from that, there's nothing else too serious or too severe happening around Australia or Oceania for that matter. It's just that really typical summer pattern: wet in the north, stormy in the southeast, and dry in the southwest by the looks of things. Desperate for a good amount of rainfall for Perth, and it just looks like we're going to be getting heat next week down there. So that's the only interesting thing happening in the southwestern parts of Western Australia. But apart from that, that's all that I have time for today. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider leaving a like, and if you want to see more stuff like this, make sure to subscribe. It's been a pleasure covering the weather with you, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching our content this update. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to get more updates covering all things weather and geophysics impacting Australia and the Oceania region. Subscribe to our other channels for more content from across the network, and be sure to check out our website where you can find free access to floater and radar imagery and articles on everything weather and much more. If you wish to support us directly, you can purchase some of our merchandise. We have a wide variety of clothing and homeware. Or you could become an Ultimate Fan, which is the best way to directly support us, granting you some sweet perks and offers, including features in our custom storm animations, live streams, and much more.